Good day, everyone. I am Kyle David B. Atienza. I am a graduate student of the University of the Philippines Open University, currently taking a diploma in science teaching major in biology. And today, we have someone very special to me, my coach, my review coach during my licensure examination for teachers in Mindgym Philippines, and currently the school principal for Alta Tierra Integrated School Incorporated. He is none other than Sir Ivan Aguilar. Hi, sir.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
Yes,
Currently,
sir.
I'm also a teacher aside from school principal. I teach grade 6 science and for the high school level, I teach Araling Panlipunan.
Let's proceed go with the interview. This is the interview will be focusing on the different reforms on science education. But first of all, I want to ask you, Sir Ivan, what are your notable experiences in teaching science?
Well, for me, um, I think it's always how the students react the first time they use laboratory instruments whenever we have experiments inside the classroom. Medyo bihira kasi sa mga bata yung gumagamit ng mga laboratory instruments. So when, for example, ako kasi I always try to make sure that the students are active inside the classroom so they do their own work. We usually conduct experiments. So yung nakikita mo yung faces nila, parang namamangha sila. Because maybe you can also relate to me when I say that during our time, usually the laboratory instruments are behind glass cabinets and we're not allowed to use it. So, ayun.
Ayun. So, paano ngayon, coach, na na hindi tayo face to face? Paano in your school, how do you conduct the experiments, ganyan?
Well, I think the beauty of conducting experiments at home is that the students are being practiced no to be resourceful. So we usually conduct home-based experiments. So usually the experiments involve materials at home. So whenever, for example, grade 6 students, they, sometimes they feel helpless because they don't know where to get, for example, sand or filter paper. Then I'm telling them, you try to think what will be the best alternative. So they are practicing their maybe critical thinking and at the same time resourcefulness.
Yes, ang ganda nun, coach, na kahit nawala yung bata sa school ngayon, talagang nagkakahanap sila ng paraan para maituloy yung mga different experiences regarding sciences. So, now that we're talking about the different your approaches, especially now na distance learning tayo, what are your educational philosophies, especially in science teaching?
Well, for me, when I go back to my educational philosophy or teaching philosophy, it's always student centered. There are two features. First one should be student centered, and the second one it must be fun for the students. Um, when we talk about student centered teaching, it must be research based. All of the things that I'm doing inside the classroom should be based on research ideas of educators, and at the same time, using the science of learning. Kung ano yung nag-fit dun sa needs nila, yun talaga yung important.
Uh, how about now, coach, na during distance learning, do you think there are, I mean, back then, nung face-to-face, what are the educational reforms kaya that you have experienced? We have the K to 12, we have now the usage of the most essential learning competencies. Ano yung mga opinion mo, coach?
Well, sa akin, ang naabutan natin ngayon now that we are teaching is yung K to 12 basic education curriculum and yung sa MELC. And what can I say about it? Siguro, um, feel ako personally when I look at it, it is really an improved na curriculum, no? Especially the K to 12 basic education curriculum. Although ako for me it doesn't have the structure to enable students to become critical thinkers. Kasi usually it is still content based, purely content based. Parang kung iisipin, parang ano siya eh, parang ang dami-daming mga content na gustong ituro. And it's not leaving schools parang an ano ba? Hindi niya binibigyan yung schools ng parang space para makapag-conduct ng sarili nilang experimentation on pedagogy or makapag-localize. Parang lagi lang ina-advocate kasi nasa general principles ng K to 12 yun eh, na that the schools are encouraged to localize or indigenize yung content. But in reality, there's so much pa rin to teach. 'Di ba? So hindi pa rin parang ang teacher na pe-pressure siya mag-focus sa content kasi ang gusto ng schools hindi lang sa public kung hindi sa private makapag-focus sa content. For me, hindi pa din parang nagbago ng curriculum, nagbago ng framework yung nasa papel, yung curriculum guide, nagbago ng framework. Pero hindi pa rin nabago yung framework or yung mindset ng teacher. Marami pa din mga professional development trainings na parang hindi siya in line, hindi pa rin niya kinocultivate yung mindset sa teacher na dapat mag-jump na from traditional to more progressive or student-centered way of teaching.
Yes, sir. No, talagang as a public school teacher, I can also attest to that na teachers are pressured to really just teach the content. Hindi na natin mostly napaprioritize yung needs ng students natin kasi nga yung ating curriculum guide ay merong suggested time frame na ito dapat ang ituro mo ng ganitong week, dapat tapos ka na ng ganitong week. Kaya instead of also giving remediation or intervention dun sa students natin, mas iniisip natin na ay kailangan natin na itong ituro kahit hindi pa natin naiintindihan kasi yun yung suggested na time frame ng department. Some people are saying, Coach, that the K-12 curriculum ay mostly global and not localized. Do you believe in this?
I actually don't agree. Kasi I agree and disagree at the same time. I agree because K to 12 was made to be a response, no? Because out of all the education systems in the world, dalawa na lang yung hindi K to 12, no? Grade 10 lang, hanggang grade 10 lang. So, Philippines is one of those countries. Tapos, pero ako, I don't believe. Kasi, when you read the curriculum itself, it encourages that the schools localize even the materials from coming from DepEd, all of them are localized and hindi lang natin siguro nakikita because kasi sa culture na pinanggalingan natin, hindi ganoon ka-emphasized yung mga hindi pa kasi uso yung cultural mapping. Parang feeling natin, itong mga tinuturo natin ngayon, parang usual lang talaga siya. Pero hindi natin alam na kapag nagpunta tayo halimbawa sa Mindanao, ganito pala nila tinuturo tong science, ganito pa nila itinuturo yung Filipino English o yung mother tongue nila. So, in one way or another, siguro dahil majority, yung lingua franca, yung parang majority na language na sinasalita natin is Tagalog. That's why some of them cannot see the difference. Pero siguro when it comes to the pedagogy itself, it doesn't serve global kasi there's already a movement globally to look into not focus on content, to not focus in content, but to focus on transversal skills. Yun yung mga skills na ipapasa from I mean, ito yung leadership, critical thinking, creative thinking, yung mga ganong skills. Doon na nakafocus yung ibang countries, paano nila makukultivate yun. And tayo, sadly, content pa rin yung focus natin. Ayun. So sa tingin ko yun, hindi siya nagre-respond sa global needs. Global siya para lang maka-adjust tayo with the other countries. Pero feeling ko, hindi pa din siya ganoon ka-fully integrated globally.
The K-12 was made into law, I think, last 2012. So it's almost a decade na. Almost isang dekada na yung pinagdaanan natin ng K-12. Do you think there are positive implications or positive changes were made sa teaching and learning process simula nung na-implement natin ang K-12 curriculum?
Yes, oo. I do appreciate yung focus no ng K-12 curriculum on the performance task. Because not all students, kasi ako, I'm not good in tests. And sobrang disadvantaged ako nung elementary and high school ako nung nasa RBEC pa lang ako, yung revised basic education curriculum. No, hindi siya ganun ka-responsive. Parang feeling ko um, hindi ako magaling na student. Pero, nung nagkaroon ng K-12, nakita ko sa mga students ko na some of them are performing better sa written work, some of them sa performance tasks. So, ako feeling ko ito yung positive. Maganda na yung mga students natin, mas competent sila ngayon pagdating sa pag-perform, pagpapakita nung transfer of learning. At the same time, nakita ko sa mga students namin, mas confident sila na dalhin yung sarili nila. Most especially kung alam nila yung kung paano gawin yung isang bagay. So, ayun, unlike dati na parang ang basihan na lang tests, ganyan. So, feeling ko yun yung positive. Tapos yung performance task kasi 'di ba? For example, for science, that parang 50% lang ganyan. Ngayon 50% performance task, tapos for English 60% ganyan. So parang mas na-emphasize na talaga yung performance task na sobrang sobrang advantageous niya sa students with different needs ganyan. So hindi siya nagiging one size fits all kaagad-agad.
And very true, Coach, yung sinabi mo na mas nabigyan ng emphasis ang performance task rather than tests. Kasi meron tayong mga bata na talagang mas gusto din talaga nila mag-perform, and dun nila masakita yung thoughts nila. They can also reflect sa kanilang mga performance tasks. Aside from this, di ba nabigyan din tayo, Coach, ng our senior high school students were given choices para sa kanilang specialization during their senior high school year, na dati sa curriculum natin ay wala pa talagang pagkatapos natin ng grade ng fourth year high school ay diretso na tayo sa college. In your own opinion, Coach, do you think our graduates are now competent to be in the workplace, yung mga senior high school graduates natin?
Well, for me, I think, well ako honestly speaking, even though we can see na emerging yung kanilang galing, for me it's not yet the hindi pa sila competent enough. Kasi lagi naman tayong bumabalik dun sa there's a job mismatch. So yung competencies that they need when it comes to uh, working, no, hindi pa siya in line. Like for example, uh, yung kanilang written communication, not all students from senior high school will graduate no with a over the top written and oral communication skills. So halimbawa, they cannot simply go to BPO, no? So siguro one reason why it's like that is hindi hindi masyadong nakapag-immerse or hindi masyadong nakapag-conduct ng consultation ang DepEd sa sa mga industries, para para matanong kung ano yung need after nila makagraduate, ganyan. Kasi I don't see companies na na parang hahanap sila ng for example high school grad for a call center agent kasi meron hinihingi na qualification din yung ibang mga tao. So, ayun.
Ayan, so with the different loopholes or challenges sir, ng K-12 curriculum, what do you think should be changed sa reform na nangyaring ito para mas ma-improve pa natin siya?
Siguro naiisip ko sa kasalukuyan, I think number one, we should be looking into decongesting the content more. Yan yung una. Kasi ang dami pa din tinuturo, no? Na parang minsan, feeling ko ako, personally, when I look into the content, parang, kailangan ba itong ituro agad? Parang ganun yung nasa isip ko. Number two, professional development ng teachers. Kasi nakikita ko palagi, pag napakaswerte kasi ng DepEd teachers, so kali-kaliwang mga parang professional development activities. Pero minsan pag tinatry kong tignan, tinatry kong panoorin yung mga webinars, parang, is this what the teacher needs at the moment? Ganon. Ayun, yun yung nakikita ko na parang ito ba ay need talaga ng teacher? Have they asked the teachers? Ito ba yung need na gusto nila? Ito ba yung um, maganda, no? Na bagay. Next is yung dapat as part of the decongesting the curriculum, we should also look into how do we insert transverse skills inside the classroom? Paano natin ma-shift doon? Halimbawa, paano tayo makakapag-steer ng critical thinking inside a science classroom, for example? So, and at the same time, making sure that everything is integrated. So, halimbawa sa class ko, we conduct in science grade 6 and nung high school, we conduct debates, we conduct community immersion, we talk to different community members, we talk to them anong problems ng community nila. And I let the students create their project proposals. And these are not science skills. Usually sa sa social studies, yung mga ganyan. So, parang kumbaga, kailangan magkaroon tayo ng movement where the content is integrated. So, for example, ma-realize ng student that when they create project proposals sa science, it's not just science that they're using. They're also using English or Filipino kasi I give liberty sa students whether they want English, to write in English or write in Filipino. Kasama din doon yung dapat when they're creating project proposal, it's not just science but also araling panlipunan and mathematics, for example, if they need to do calculations or interpret some calculations. So, mahalaga yung ganun eh. And siguro lastly, I believe we should be rethinking on how we structure governance in a school level. I think, Sir Kyle, you can attest na minsan may mga problems tayo sa mga teachers, master teachers natin or sa principal natin, 'di ba? So sa governance side kasi I know sa public kasi maraming roles ang principal. Pero what we really should be thinking is how should the principals be focused on instructional leadership. So paano nila ma-monitor, ma-mentor yung mga teachers, no? Kung paano magiging mas focused sa pagpapabuti ng pagtuturo nila. Meron kasing parang nagiging issue na lang, parang more on nagiging focus na lang nila fiscal, yung parang na lang, more on the money matters side. Kasi hindi mo maiiwasan, naka-structure kasi ng ganung way. 'Di ba? So, ayun, parang I think bukod dun sa suggestion nga natin na i-decongest yung curriculum, dapat kasama din dun yung governance, laging magkatabi yung dalawa na yun. Kaya nga, usually, di ba kapag division office, magkatabi yung SJOD tsaka si ID chief. So, kasi ganun kahalaga yung role nilang dalawa. Dapat complementary. Pero the way I see it right now, SJOD principals, tapos CID sa teachers. So dapat magkaroon sila ng point where they collaborate.
Thank you, Sir Ivan, for those insightful recommendations. I also agree with the second suggestion of yours, yung there should be a needs assessment for teachers. Dapat hindi lang pinibigyan ng Department of Education ng professional training ang teachers, pero dapat targeted yung problems ng teachers. Kasi personally, there are really a lot of trainings provided by DepEd, pero minsan mapapaisip, kailangan ko ba talaga to training na offer na siya last school year, and naman siya this school year. Kaya parang paulit, marami siyang parang ino-offer na professional programs, but there are not, pero hindi targeted yung problems ng teachers. And also you were saying, Coach, na you have experience attending webinars. I also agree with you na there are a lot of webinars, but there are not a lot of applications after the webinar. Talagang pagkatapos sa webinar, okay, kindly fill up this form and then you will get your certificate of participation.
Yes.
Nawawala na yung, you first need to submit this requirement to show na na-apply mo yung natutunan mo in our webinar. So thank you so much, sir, for those very insightful recommendations on how we can further improve the curriculum. Ayan, so let's leave the reform topic aside. Let's move on to your personal experiences as a teacher naman, Sir Ivan. What have you considered as your successes as a science teacher naman?
Well, for me, ang pinaka-successful na scenario sa loob ng classroom ko is that when the students who are branded like parang sila yung mga laging bagsak, hindi sila attentive sa klase, parang when you see them perform to the best of their abilities, that's what is parang important for me. Like for example, ngayon lang, ngayong school year lang din na to kasi start na matatapos na yung first quarter namin. Tapos we have this student na parang hindi siya nagpapasa ng work niya. Tapos parang lagi na sinasabi na, naku sir, may problem yan palagi. Ganyan. Pero when I tried questioning him inside the classroom, so tinatanong ko siya, nakafocus ako sa kanya on certain topics sa loob ng classroom, nakukuha naman niya, nagigets naman niya. And siguro, we are so structured kasi na parang lahat ng activities gagawin ng lahat. So parang, ayun, feeling ko successful na yung gano'n. Dagdag ko lang din na na parang, gusto ko din yung pag naririnig ko sa kanila na, for example, sir, kasi sa bahay namin, parang ganyan din yung nakita ko observation. Parang, for example, filtration din yung nakita ko sa bahay namin kasi may ganito kami, may ganyan-ganyan. Yung parang nare-relate niya na sa buhay niya yung inaaral namin. I think very important yun eh. Na parang hindi lahat ng estudyante nare-realize kaagad na the science is working. So, ayun. Yun yung sa akin.
Thank you, sir. Talagang pag teachers very heartless, no? Talagang wala sa success natin yung mga recognitions na monetary recognitions or any awards. Talagang what happens inside the classroom yung tunay nating success. Especially with me, Coach, na I'm sure you're aware that I have a non-profit organization that we teach kids sa kalsada. It's really true na ang success ng isang teachers is when you see that your learners are changing positively. Yung mga hindi pumapasok dati, pumapasok na sila ngayon. Yung mga galing sa magandang pamilya, sila yung nagiging avenue para maayos yung buong pamilya nila. Yung mga tamad pumasok sa school dahil sa'yo, sasabihin nila, ay pumapasok po kasi ikaw yung nagtuturo. Yun yung mga simple joys natin na other professions cannot see na yun ang tunay na success ng isang pagiging teacher. How about naman, sir, ng mga challenges na na-encounter mo as a science teacher?
Challenge is that for most of the time, siguro hindi, nung mga first year of teaching ko, parang nahirapan pa ako na makuha yung engagement nila, yung trust nila sa topic. Kasi hindi pa sila ganun, hindi sila, usually pag science, tahimik yung mga students eh. Hindi sila yung ganun kaingay. And at the same time, some of the difficulties on their misconceptions. May mga misconceptions kasi na mahirap matuwid galing sa mga bata, no? Most especially if it's grade 6 na, medyo na finalize na, nag-harden na yung kanilang mga misconceptions. So ang hirap-hirap i-straighten ng ganong mindset ng mga bata. Tapos siguro, yung inability pa nila to express themselves. Kahit di ba tulad nga ng sinabi ko, they can explain kahit hindi ganun ka-perfect. Pero ang nagiging problem, parang minsan nagtataka ko, hala, grade 6 na to, pero bakit nahihirapan silang i-express yung sarili nila? Hindi pa ganun kagaling sa, for example, yung mga writing skills nila, English or Filipino, hindi pa ganun kapulido sa expectations ng grade level nila. So, ano din siya, parang hindi lang science yung nagwo-work doon, dapat other subject areas din, other learning areas din, magtulong din dun sa ganung aspect. Tapos siguro lastly, pagdating sa parent side, kasi sometimes there will be parents who will ask you, Sir, ganyan ba talaga dapat ba sa klase mo nagsasalita yung mga bata? Or dapat sir, wala na tayong mga group works, individual na lang. Or sir, kailangan po ba bumili ng ganitong, pag mag-experiment, kailangan po ba laging may experiment? So, hindi pa kasi ganoon sila ka-informed na iba na ngayon yung way ng pagtuturo. Iba na yung gusto nating, parang facilitator na lang tayo. Kasi some of the parents, ang expectation nila, tahimik yung mga bata, nakikinig sila sa'yo habang dumadaldal ka, tapos quiz, ganyan. So, medyo nahihirapan tayong i-explain sa magulang na, Ma'am, Sir, iba na po ngayon. Mas gusto natin, mas active yung role ng students. Nag-iisip talaga sila sa loob ng classroom. Merong mga ganun. So, yun. And siguro pagdating sa leadership sa mga students. Kasi, pampered, ako, I believe they are inside a pampered generation. So parang yung mga needs nila na po-provide lang kapag may reklamo sila sa, kunyari, hindi gumagawa yung kaklase nila, kagrupo nila, they don't talk to the students, pinapadaan nila sa nanay, tapos yung nanay pinapadaan sa akin. So, parang napaka-dependent pa sa magulang. And I think hindrance yun kasi halimbawa ako sa loob ng classroom ko, lagi ko nire-remind, pag may problema kayo sa kaklase nyo, sabihin nyo sa kanya agad para hindi nyo napadadaanin sa parents nyo. So, may ganong mga factors. And usually, it's not, hindi kasi dahil kulang ako sa kaalaman ko sa teaching strategies. Pero dahil minsan, parang yung aim ng education sa parent, iba yung aim ng education ng parent, iba yung sa school, iba yung sa teacher. So, kailangan talaga ma-make sure na nagja-jive. Lahat sila parang nagsasama-sama. Yung mga goals nila pare-pareho. Which is difficult.
And your challenges, sir, talaga has proven that learning must be a collaborative process, no, between the teacher, the learners, and other stakeholders. Talagang the challenges that we are experiencing inside the classroom can also be given solutions by other stakeholders, especially the parents of our learners. So now we are down to our very last question. During this pandemic, Coach, teachers have, especially those in the public schools, have received a lot of backlash and issues, especially with the modular distance learning na sinasabi ng mga parents na, ba't pa pinapasweldo si teacher, magulang naman ang nagtuturo sa mga anak niya. Do you think, Sir Ivan, teachers, especially science teachers, are they still relevant today and especially in our current curriculum?
Yes, they are highly relevant still, no. I don't think teachers will be obsolete. But we should also be mindful kasi that we are in an extraordinary time, and hindi naman um not all of us are equipped and prepared. Kasi in order for us to have a successful modular type of learning or even online learning, kasi mas ano ngayon, mas less yung time na nagmi-meet kasi ayaw ng mga teachers na i-overwhelm yung students, ganyan. So, it takes a lot of preparation, no? Halimbawa, in some other countries, like for example, Singapore, before this pandemic, meron na rin silang, nagpa-pilot na din sila ng online distance learning, no? Um, yun, plainly yun. So, nahirapan tayo mag-transition kasi wala tayong preparation na even us in our school, hindi pa kami nagta-transition kasi may plans kami na mag-transition online kahit walang pandemic. So, siguro pa dalawa-dalawang araw sa isang linggo. Pero, parang ang nangyari, nabigla lahat sa nangyaring pag-transition. So sa tingin ko, malaking problema 'yun for distance learning. Tapos pero kasi ngayon mas mahalaga yung role ng teacher kasi siya yung magbi-bridge ng gap between dun sa hindi prepared na student papunta sa prepared. 'Di ba? Kaya nga that's why we have homeroom programs, start ng klase, 'di ba? Meron tayong parang mga ganyang activities. Um, Ayun, and siguro it also leads us to the way the way people view teachers, no? I think Sir Kyle, hindi siya dahil yung mga teachers hindi marunong. Kasi kung tatanungin mo yung mga parents, palagi silang sasabihin nila na, naku, makinig ka sa teacher mo, ganyan. Um, pero, pero when it comes to decision, no, on the lives of the students, ang teacher hindi binabaliwala. So, halimbawa sa Singapore, gusto kong gamitin yung Singapore na example. Kasi, um, sila yung mas malapit na type of education system na mayroon tayo. Uh, actually, they are exploring on 21st century skills, ganyan. Pero, mostly may traditional pa din. Yung mga parents, nung pumutok yung pandemic, gusto nilang ibigay yung anak nila sa schools. Pero dito sa Philippines, it's the other way around. Hindi pwedeng buksan ng schools. So, nakita mo yung great level of trust sa mga teachers, that the teachers can only be the people who has the knowledge, no, na ma-make sure na yung yung mga anak nila, yung mga students nila will learn, no? Dito kasi minsan sa Pilipinas, some of the parents, they feel like they know better than the teacher, the school, no? Um, pero hindi natin sila mabiblame because we have a generation of parents na yung mga teachers nila ganito, binabato sila ng papel, binabato sila ng pambura. We have stories like that. Pero ito yung time kasi actually siguro I just want to make parang medyo political side pero we aren't hearing from our leaders that we should trust teachers. Never ako nakarinig ng ganon, no? Iilan lang na politicians pero yung mga kumakalat sa internet, never, hindi. Never natin sila narinig na we should um we should value teachers. We should value parang kailangan natin i-trust yung teachers natin sa ganitong mga situation because the DepEd spends a lot on preparing teachers. And I know teachers are marami silang alam ngayon sa distance learning kasi kayo, ang ganda ng preparation sa inyo. Kami din sa private schools, ang ganda din ng preparation na ginagawa namin. So, we really need leaders who will tell the people to trust the teachers. Pero at the same time, medyo labo-labo na kasi sa Pilipinas. So, ano ngayon ang ano ngayon, pilot opening ng classes. Pero ako feeling ko, magpa-pilot class hindi dahil gusto natin mag-open para sa ikabubuti ng students, kung hindi for economic purposes, or dahil napipressure tayo dahil dalawa na lang tayong hindi nagbubukas ng classes. So, sa tingin ko dapat hindi pa rin ganun. Kasi para makapagbukas tayo ng classes, katakot-takot na resources yung kailangan nating gastusin. So, yeah. The teachers will never be irrelevant right now. Teachers are still relevant. And we should make sure that the students will trust us, the parents will trust us, the community will trust us. No? Siguro, parang just to open a conversation, parang kung iisipin mo, no? Parang, in order for us na magkaroon ng ligtas na balik eskwela, it's not just, social distancing, kailangan merong parang barriers. Hindi siya ganun eh. Hindi siya easy as that. Hindi maglilinis. Kunyari, hindi lang siya basta nadadaan sa linis. Kung hindi, kailangan natin i-trust ang isa't isa. Halimbawa, kapag nagkaroon ng COVID yung parents, kailangan yung parents, i-alert niya yung school na pumapasok yung anak niya na nagkaroon sila ng COVID symptoms or COVID-like signs, no? And at the same time, dapat ang schools din guided din by data. And again, babalik tayo sa country like us, third world country. Kay teacher pa din nakadepende kasi wala tayong resources. No? So, whether they like it or not, they need to like that the teachers are relevant.
That's a really good observation, Coach, no, that there are no leaders telling us that we should trust teachers. So, there are no leaders telling us that we should trust teachers. So, wala talaga, no? Talagang, ang hirap ba? Totoo, wala talaga ako naririnig na ganun. And I think it's about time to let the society know that teachers are honing the future leaders of the country. And talagang sa atin, sa mga teachers sa kalalay ang maayos na pamayanan. Teachers can really do a lot of things for the country. If we teach the learners properly, we are creating a good nation. And also talagang pinapakita that teaching still must be a collaborative process between the teacher, the learners, and our other stakeholders. Thank you so much, Sir Ivan. Do you have any last messages for our teachers na naghihirap talaga din?
Siguro, ako masasabi ko lang, you need to trust yourself, no? Because you are the most essential here. Yun nga, lagi ko nga naiisip. Parang sa MELC, parang tayo yung most essential competency eh. Kasi tayo yung nagpa-facilitate sa loob ng classroom. Kapag kailangan tayo ng magulang, we're always there with them. Pag kailangan tayo ng school principal natin, we need to do demo teaching, for example. Yan. And siguro, parang masasabi ko lang din, sana dumating tayo sa point where our Department of Education, parang parang hindi lang basta yung kung ano yung parang hindi lang tayo basta kumokopya sa ibang bansa. Kung hindi, i-make sure talaga natin na ito talaga yung needs ng learners natin. Kasi minsan parang naisip natin, bakit kaya kulelat yung mga students natin sa PISA? Ganyan. Parang hindi siya ganoon. Parang nakafocus lang sila sa test scores. Pero it's more than that. Sa other countries, when you try to study their education system, they're making sure that all of the people, unang-una, mataas yung public spending sa education. Tapos, pangalawa, yung mga teacher education institution, mataas yung ano nila, mataas yung parang qualification for teachers. So kasi dito sa Pilipinas hindi eh, usually yung mga parang last resort yung education, either wala kang pambayad or yan na lang yung natitirang slots, naubusan ka ng slots. So mag-education ka. So dapat hindi ganun, maging competitive and at the same time kailangan taasan din yung yung spending sa salaries ng teachers. Ako personally, itong teaching during the pandemic, it's one of the best things that happened to me. I don't know why, I always think about that. Kasi, ewan ko personally ako as a teacher, parang I have a great level of independence right now. Ako din, ganun din ako sa mga teachers namin. I don't micromanage them now kasi magkakahiwalay na kami. So kung ano yung essential, yun lang yung ginagawa namin. Hindi kami nami-measure ng isa't isa. So I think in the long run, magbe-benefit tayo sa distance learning. But kailangan pa rin natin i-make sure na equity-wise, lahat ng hindi kaya, mabigyan sila ng alternative stream. Diba? Kung kinakailangan ibalik sila sa classroom, given na it's safe already, ibalik natin. No? Pero wag natin tatanggalin sa isip natin na once na back to face, hindi na tayo magkakaroon ng ganito. Ayun.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Sir Ivan, for your very wonderful insights about science education and, of course, the different reforms that we have faced in current times. Ayun. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Our interview is done.
Thank you, Sir
I hope you
Kyle.
are safe there, sir, and saka your co-teachers are also doing well. I know that this pandemic will soon reside, but the challenges of
Yes.
education will still continue.